backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's just a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Matt on the Deering Acting Studio podcast. Joey, I love the close-up on Brian dancing.
Thanks.
It's always,
thanks, buddy.
It's always going to be a win.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Every time.
Working on some new moves. So.
Okay, so this week we are about tackling patience.
Tackling.
And today's episode is called Read the Map. So, but without further ado, let's get on to our daily devotional. Bri, guys, since you're here, let's have you hit it up.
Okay. Our daily devotional today is Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower.
Which one?
Anyone, really.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? I think
Wait.
the smart person definitely would.
Wait, hold on. I think you messed that up. Say it again.
Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty sure that's what he said the first time.
I think he said which one of you, but I could be wrong.
I mean, maybe we could go back and watch later.
It doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure we got it right because this is more of a direction. It's not a question. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like which one of you. It's won't you first? Mm-hmm. So it's a question toward sort of one person instead of this like which one. But you might have said it right. Actually, I don't even know. So if we think about this, like what God is telling us here is we wouldn't build the tower without having a plan first. Mm-hmm. We're not going to take on a big endeavor of some kind without first looking at, can we even get it done? Is there even a way? Mm-hmm. Because what if you don't have the money? What if you don't have the money to build the tower?
Crowdfunding.
That's right. You're gonna go get the money.
Right, yeah.
You're gonna go get the money. You're gonna look back and go, okay, how did somebody else do it?
Mm-hmm. Let me figure out my way to get there. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even that, though, you have to have the map of what it's going to be. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes, just starting on a project without understanding, like you said, researching and figuring it all out. What all is it going to cost? So you don't end up halfway through a giant tower and you're just screwed.
Correct. Which would be even worse.
Right.
That would be even worse than not having a tower.
Yeah.
Would be like wasting all your money.
Can you imagine just have a tower right by you? You're just like, what?
Well, half a tower, yeah. So it's like unusable.
Yeah.
You know what? If it's me, I would just put a roof on the half tower and be like, "This is my half tower, guys."
I mean, that's solve.
But what's the point of the tower then? Right? So you got to ask yourself that question too. Like, why am I building a tower? I don't know. Maybe it's so I can see enemies.
I was going to say invaders. That would make sense.
So if I build it halfway and I put a roof on there, congratulations. What if I can't get to the top of it? What if there's no way up because I couldn't finish it? What if I didn't have money to build the stairs? Or what if I get to the top and I can't see where the enemy's coming from anyway? But I'm like, hey, I'm on top of my fake half tower. That's useless.
Yeah.
Checkmate. I mean,
All right, so the idea today is connected to patience, is to stop and read the map. And here's the interesting thing about maps is, in the world we live in, we've been accustomed to GPS. We've been accustomed to just having things handed to us. We don't read a map anymore.
Yeah.
I remember growing up as a kid, my grandpa always had a map in his car. You know, and different kinds of maps and different places and places he'd been. And he would show me, and we would study the map, and we would he made me know where I was and where I was going before we were able to leave. Like, he required that of me. And I love this quote that I found here, which was, the time you want the map is before you enter the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Brendan Burchard said this. The time you want the map is before you enter the woods. And I really liked it, especially connected to my grandfather, because we used to go out in the woods a lot. We used to explore. And he would make us know where we were, what direction things were, where the sun was. Like, we had to understand that. And we'd have to slow down before we went forward. But what's interesting is that saves you so much time when you know kind of where you're going and where things are. Now, here's what's interesting about maps is, nowadays, obviously, with GPS and cell phones and things, it just gets updated for you, right? But what about when you have like a car GPS and it's not updated anymore? You know, you don't have the latest update. What happens is something that's on the map is not there anymore, or something that should be on the map isn't. And it's like, it looks like a dead end, but there's now a road there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're relying on an old map, and you have to update your maps. And I remember my grandfather used to update his maps every year because things change.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of times we're dealing with an old road map. We're looking at the way we used to see it, and we're just going with our heads down. And we haven't taken the time to slow down, have patience, and look, is there a better way? Is there another road that might be a shortcut? That could be perhaps more difficult, but yet we can get to our goal faster.
Yeah. So when you talk about this, you're also within our lives, I guess, this would be things like, will this be like updating your goals and stuff like that? Like making sure like you're doing that on your monthly, so that as things change, you're changing the way that you see your goals going. Would that be something that falls under that
100%? Yeah, because when you update your goals, that's like, because what you're doing when you read a map is like, where are we right now?
Deering Acting Studio, Phoenix, Arizona.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then specifically in this neighborhood, right, in this tiny little spot here. Well, this is what we know, is kind of what we can see right in front of us. But when you look at a map, you pull yourself back and you get to see the big picture, and you get to go, oh, like, here's how we belong. Like, here's our place among this big picture here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when you go to redo your goals and you go to redo your plan, you should be looking for, is there a better way? Is there a different, like, is this map, like, is the road I'm taking working? Matter of fact, this other quote specifically ties into this. This is from Layla Gifty Akita.
That's really good reading.
Thank you. Layla Gifty Akita. She says, change your direction any moment you realize you are on the wrong road.
That's good.
Change your if you realize you're on the wrong road, change your direction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, we've talked about that with the show. We've made some adaptations of the show, and we're actually in the process of adapting again. I just don't know what it is yet.
Right.
So we haven't changed, but you know, as you guys know,
But we've discussed.
I've thrown out some ideas. We've discussed, we've debated, we've gone back and forth, and because of the situation we are in now is different than the situation we were in when we started the show. In many different ways, the road to get to our outcome might change.
Yeah.
And there could be a better way. And therefore, we should look for it.
Right. Yeah.
But you can't find it if you don't pull yourself back and look at the big picture, look at the map, and go, okay, has a new road been added to the map that literally wasn't there before, and now it's there? And that's the power of pulling back and looking at the map. I want you to think about this idea of, I'm going to take the time to read the map before I move forward. Just in case there's a better road, just in case I even need to turn around and go backwards for a while. I mean, this ever happened to you? We got to go backwards?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to go backwards, to have to like redirect, you know, and find your way. I was going to a friend's house just the other day for a kid's birthday party, one of my favorite things to do.
He loves them.
And
if you got a kid having a birthday party, invite Matt. It's
I'd
great.
been to this house several times, but had always been there with my wife in the car. And honestly, didn't really pay attention. Just sort of like, she would tell me when to turn, and, you know, like, so I'd been there enough times that I should know how to get there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. Okay. So I'm on the way there, and here's the truth. Like, it's embarrassing to ask how to get someplace when you've already been there 5 times.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And so I'm trying to navigate myself to this place. I don't have an address. I know the approximate area. So I'm just kind of like going up and down roads, trying to see, do I recognize certain things? I had texted my wife, you know, to ask her if she had the address or something. She wasn't responding. So like, because I didn't plan and I didn't know, and I wasn't paying attention in the past, I navigated something. It took me, let's say, 15 minutes longer than it should have to get to my destination.
Yeah.
Versus the idea of knowing and establishing like a permanent memory of something. And how often nowadays are we not doing that because we don't memorize people's phone numbers anymore. We don't actually memorize street names anymore. We just listen to the thing, the GPS. It goes, turn left. You go,
Right.
okay. You know, and like, that's it. You're actually learning. All you're learning how to do is put in the and then you go.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same with all kinds of technology stuff. It's crazy. Like, even studying has changed and everything. Like, if you want something, you just quickly go to your phone for Google, which is positive in some aspects and negative in others, because you're not actually, again, a lot of times retaining a lot of the things. You're just quickly getting an answer versus like it used to be more of a study. I mean, it used to be in our day.
Right.
You know, kind of deal. And on a side note, the first thing I thought of when you listed Lost was, I always just remember this story, was you talking about when you and your sister were in the woods, and it says the woods in here in the cabin. You literally got lost, right? And when you're like lost, it's a scary feeling. It's like a scary feeling.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes, especially in the woods, because everything looks the same.
Yeah.
Unless you've really studied the area and you really know it, everything looks familiar, and you look at something and go like, have I seen that tree before?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's like a vortex.
Yeah, did I come from this direction? Yeah, it's really scary. And then the idea of even with that story, that when darkness started to fall,
Yeah.
and then you like all of a sudden your mind starts playing tricks on you, and you start envisioning all the what ifs and all the, scary, scary stuff that could happen. Yeah, it is. It's getting lost. Getting lost is not a fun feeling.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Joey talked about the time that his grandpa and his dad left him at a gas station and literally just went across the street. But that moment of being lost, that moment of feeling left, of just being like kind of without a map, it's scary.
Yeah. No, 100p.
Yeah.
It is not a fun experience. My mom left me at a McDonald's one time in Phoenix when we lived in Wickenburg.
Probably not on purpose.
Not on purpose, no.
Not like Grandpa did.
No. She was in the drive-thru and I had to go to the bathroom, so she let me get out of the car and go to the bathroom, and then she got through the drive-thru and drove away. And so then I was in McDonald's, and thank goodness, like you said, I had her phone number memorized.
Yeah.
Because I called her from the McDonald's phone and was like, hey.
Hey, man. How far away did you get?
She was like 5 minutes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. That's a good story.
Well, and that, that happens, that happens to people all the time. So that's another reason to train your kids, to train the people around you, to honestly expect you to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because that's going to happen. So you give them the roadmap to know how to navigate themselves out.
Well, I got to take really quick time to tell just people, like, it's a good thing to not just make technology your everything. I got to throw it out there. You're not going to listen probably. But like last night we had our private moments, right? And it was really great last week for the adults and just like some cool stuff. The kids and teens hadn't had their stuff ready. So they were coming in with this. Specifically the teens, over 75% had just brought their phone up. And I was just like blown away by this. And I'm just going like, dang. And it hit me because you watch so many people do it over and over. Now, they each had their own show they were watching or their own game they were playing, but most of them just brought their phones.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is their life. That's crazy. That's crazy. I asked you to bring a moment that's private, and most of you watched a show or played a game on the phone. And I'm like, that's crazy. It's so different.
Well, and think about how many private moments you can have on a phone.
Yeah. One of them had 3 different things happen while they were up there.
And how a phone now creates a false sense of feeling that feels very real. Gives you the same dopamine hits and gives you the same reaction of lack of love, lack of interest.
Yeah, totally.
Crazy. That's very interesting.
Crazy.
All right, so we're gonna go to commercial break here, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna do our takeaway here about reading the map, finding the road, the best road for you, always making those adjustments. We'll be right back.
So my experience with Phoenix casting has been pretty much legit. Like ever since I started like modeling and acting, I've been coming here.
If you're an actor in Arizona, you need to know about the Daring Acting Studio. You need to get here. They'll make you feel like you belong.
Where there's a will, there's a way. So I think it's great that you guys are continuing to innovate, not just resting back and saying, oh, this is just the way it is. And these days, because of virtual casting, some of these big projects that are on either coastline, now a lot of actors have the opportunities to at least submit.
It was so uplifting and encouraging, and it's such a refreshing sense to get as an actor, to be uplifted and encouraged and taught to do that to everybody that you're in a scene with.
We always recommend Daring Acting Studios just because we know how important it is to hone your skills and hone your talent and always be practicing. And it's like a sport, you have to go in and practice. You can't just jump into something and think you're going to be a star. So
what I learned about during this workshop is to be yourself and to not to be afraid to be yourself and be authentic.
And that's one thing I gotta say about you guys, is you guys have been amazing. When our team submits, it's like you guys give us really a great selection at audition. And so I think that's great, and I appreciate the opportunities you give our talent.
Do yourself a favor, come down to Daring to Phoenix Casting. You won't regret it. These guys are great, so accommodating. It's a fun, lively, always a great time. So no stress, come down and knock it out of the park. Thanks guys, I appreciate it.
your lives will all be changed and you'll grow if you really learn to listen in this way.
Will you help me kill her? You have to react to that from his point of view as honestly as possible.
Punch him in the face. No, you don't know nothing. Come on.
As soon as you've solved the puzzle, the scene's over.
Hey!
So we are talking about reading the map. That is today's episode. And the truth is, it can feel counterintuitive.
That's a big word.
Yes, it is a big word, Joey.
It is. It's a big word.
Facts.
Yeah.
How many times have I heard
It's
that
the
word
opposite
in
of
a
intuitive.
sentence? Not many.
Really?
Yeah.
Counterintuitive?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the word, but not like in regular language, like people using it. Just thought it was nice. It was a big word.
That's counterintuitive, really.
Big word there, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
The big word counterintuitive. Sometimes to read the map, because what you have to do is stop. You have to stop to read a map, and a lot of times you just want to venture forward. And so, how many times will you be going someplace and you'll hear, like, especially like this is an old thing in shows where the husband's driving and the wife's like, just stop and ask for directions, and the husband's like, no
way, never.
I'm not gonna stop and ask for
I
directions.
am all that is man.
Yes. And it comes from pride. It comes from wanting to already know the answer instead of being willing to stop and ask for directions. And when you stop and ask for directions, oftentimes you will get there 10 times faster than you trying to figure it out on your own. So what is a map? A map is going to be your past. It's going to be other people's past. It's going to be new, like a new something, like discover something new. And to stop and find like the right map with the right road. That's the only way to get you there. I remember. You remember this? You guys ever see Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey, you see Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is when he stops to ask for directions at the gas station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm trying to find this road, and the guy's like, you need to get yourself a new map. And he's like, yeah, I get that, but like, I'm looking at the map here, and I just, I don't see it. And
Yeah, he's like arguing with him about it.
right?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you're here, and you're trying to go 20 miles this way, which is off of this map. You need to get yourself a new map.
Yeah.
And it's so funny the way that guy delivers it. But that same concept is so true, where sometimes you might be using an outdated map. And you got to upgrade. You got to put yourself into the new place, where otherwise you'd be driving around forever, or you're like staring at a map for forever trying to find a road that doesn't exist on that map.
Yeah, and you know what? You may, like in that type of setting, you might end up getting there eventually, right? It might end up happening. But like if you even take it to computer software type of now, like if you don't update it, it's just going to run slower. Everything's going to go slower in a negative type of way, right? So you gotta update that stuff.
I also see a map as like a blueprint. So think about a blueprint for a building. Without having a blueprint first, you're not going to build on solid ground.
Yeah.
So now what I'm saying is also going to be counterintuitive. I don't know if it's counterintuitive what I'm going to say.
Excited
it's
about
just
that.
counter.
All right, you're right. Just counter.
Just put it
That's
on.
not a big word, though. That's a regular word.
That's just one of them regular words.
One of the regular words.
That's like a word you hear like every day. Like, get your stuff off the counter.
But counter's a really
Clean
interesting
the
word.
counter.
Yeah, because think about counter.
Do the counter.
I can think of three meanings.
Yeah.
Right? You put it on the counter. Also, it's counter to like opposite of. Okay.
That'd be
and also you could be
contrary.
a counter. Like somebody who
Money
counts.
counter.
Somebody who counts from 1 to 10. You're a counter.
Wait, time out though. It's not. It wouldn't be counter to something. It'd be contrary to. Right.
Or counter. Yeah. I mean, like that's like that.
You counter.
That rude word is to be. Is to oppose.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's one of those complex words.
I don't know if it is.
What do you mean?
Complex words. You know, like I think of that as like a big word. Those are small words.
There's a difference between a big word and a complex word.
Agreed.
Dang.
Joe just got schooled.
Did you just flip that on me?
Yeah.
He totally
did.
just flipped my own joke on me.
I'm enjoying it.
Dang.
Did I? I didn't mean to. I was just I was just saying there's big and then there's complex. I look at complex this way. Try like teaching a child the word counter. And then you're just like, but it also means this. But it also means that, and they're like, what? Why?
Why does it
Like,
mean
how?
so many things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
And it's the same thing with certain words where it could be spelled 2 different ways. It can be super annoying to teach.
I hate those ones. Yeah.
So hard to teach your kids like Brian about these words.
I just don't even I before E and all that stuff. No. Just keep it simple, man.
I saw a TikTok that was like, that rule is not even accurate in real life.
It's true.
And that ruined my childhood right there. Because I was like,
Saved mine.
it was always I before E except after C. And it turns out there's a lot of words that have E before I.
All right, so here's your big takeaway.
Other than spelling.
When you're driving, go. Get in the car, go. All right? Definitely. That's what I was going to say. It's this whole idea of stopping is counter to what we believe. You have to take action. But once you're taking action, you also need to be willing to stop. Sometimes stop just to check the map. It's important to do that, to make sure you're still going in the right direction. Because you could be putting a lot of effort into going in the wrong direction, and that's really, really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And how far are you going to let yourself keep going in the wrong direction before you're willing to stop and ask for directions? This is one of the problems. I'm going to get political here. It's one of the problems with politics in general. Is sometimes people just want to like pick their side instead of like literally asking the other side, "Hey, do you have a better way?" Because if you do, I could just take your way and that's all right too. It doesn't have to be a left or a right kind of deal. It can just be the best way, which is fine. Mm-hmm. There's no problem with that. So there's this idea of if there's a driver driving a car and they refuse to stop and ask for directions, guess what? It's time to get a new driver.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. You got to be willing to ask the question. You got to be willing to ask the hard questions. You got to be willing to stop, pause, look back, reflect on the big picture, and go, what's the best direction for my life? What's the best direction for my career? What's the best direction for this country right now? What's the best direction to navigate a pandemic? Like, it's okay to stop and go, you know what? There's a better road. We tried our best. Now let's try something else. Like, that's okay. And oftentimes we get stuck into one path and we refuse to stop and look at the map again and see, is there a better road? Did a new road appear? Am I operating off of an old map or an outdated software in my car? And literally, there's a gas station right over there, but I'm not going there because I'm using an old map.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great point.
All right, guys. Read the map.
Read it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you every day tuning into the Mornings with Matt show, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.